What's up guys, it's your favorite resident monkey here. I'm talking about Winston, of course. I'm going to break down 5 Winston tips that you can use in your games to climb. It's now season 2 on Overwatch. Aggro tanks are where it's at, so you need to have a handle on playing heroes like Winston, D.Va, and Doomfist. So make sure to stay till the end of this video to gain a complete understanding of these Winston tactics, and let me know in the comments if these tips helped you climb, and make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Similar to the Goomba Stomp, Winston does damage when landing on enemies with his jump. So make sure to pick and choose when to jump behind enemy lines and when you can pull off jumping directly onto the enemy's furthest player and focusing them. One combo I like to do is jumping in the air and hitting a right click shot mid-air before landing on an enemy. Then I open up with the melee, shield, and finish the job with my left click basic attack. Here's a few examples in the practice tool of me testing out different damage values of jumping on top of enemies. Direct contact deals the most, near direct still has a decent amount of damage, and barely hitting the enemy with your jump still pushes them back but deals only a sliver of damage. You can see how quickly you could kill low enemy heroes like Tracer and supports with HP similar to hers. Jumping into the enemy team can often result in getting decimated in a matter of seconds, and I see many Winston players experience this problem. And it's frustrating because you think that your team should be getting easy picks since every gun is pointed at you, but since they're always trash bronze level players, this doesn't happen. So what can you do? Well, you have to play the L. Keep in mind this applies mainly to the push and hybrid game modes. When the cart is being pushed, there will be times when you're fighting in a straight corridor as a result of one team pushing the cart around a corner. If you're Winston, your goal should often be to fight from beyond that corner, forcing the enemy to be attacked from 2 fronts. They're split between fighting down the straight, because if they focus on you, the cart will push since your team is near the payload. And if they choose to ignore you around the corner, they might as well say goodbye to both of their supports because you're killing them both every time. This results typically in you fighting a 1v2 and your team fighting a 4v3. And if you play it right with your shield and hit your combo, you will get your kill, still be healthy enough to continue fighting from the back line and continuing to squeeze the enemy push on both sides of the payload. If you get focused, you can push further behind enemy lines without getting chased because the enemy won't chase you very far. It would require them to leave the point, risk a C9, and waste time that they could use trying to reach the next push point if they're on offense, or on defense they could be focusing your team in a 5v4. Cat and mouse games are in Winston's favor every time. If they play it with you, they will lose. For example, in this clip, my team is pushing the payload, and I push this corridor around the first corner, create some space, push around the second corner, and the enemies can't really hit their shots, but I also have my ultimate up, so I'm able to continue to create space here. The payload is still pushing. The enemy is fighting on the first front, the second front that my DPS is pushed past, and a third front which is on the point, and we just continue to push until all those fronts combine and my team gets up to the second checkpoint. Sometimes I stay with my team, firing fully charged right clicks into the enemy backline. It might seem like I'm not creating space, but really I'm just waiting for an opportunity and testing the enemy supports. I try to aim for the supports, and when I hit them I wait to see if they'll heal each other. I do the same thing with DPS players to see how their supports will react to their teammate taking non-lethal amounts of damage. Once I get my intel, I pick my target, and when I hit a fully charged attack, it's my green light to get a free execute. I jump in, and whether or not I land on them, I use melee plus basic attacks, and it's more than enough damage to make quick work of them. The enemy starts off with only 2/3 of their health pool, making this less efficient combo just as effective. This also causes you to change the tendencies of the enemy team. The person you kill will most likely flame their team, beg for heals, and maybe even swap to a character that has more escapes. And although this makes them harder to kill, they didn't want to play that character or that style. You made them. Winston's ranged attacks are slept on, and you can use them to make an easier choice of who to jump on. So I went into the practice tool to show you guys a few examples. Imagine I'm with my team trying to line up a fully charged right click headshot. As soon as I land it, I can use my full combo to quickly take them down. If you miss your jump damage, the entry damage should still be enough to pick up a quick kill, so I wouldn't worry about that. Just focus on landing that fully charged headshot and then going for your combo. Shield juggling is pretty self-explanatory. When you jump in and drop your shield, you constantly move in and out of it based on if the enemy is inside or outside of your shield. If your shield is always between you and your enemy, you continue to deal damage while they continue to shoot into the void until you either kill them or they back off, dealing no damage to the rest of your team and allowing you to pursue another target. Winston can also place his shield on the payload, which will move with it. I like using this strategy when the enemy is playing dive. I don't want to abandon my team, so rather than switching, I play on the payload, placing my mobile shield that my teammates can use when avoiding a Genji, enemy Winston, or a Reaper. They can get cover from both the payload and juggling with my shield, and they can jump over, behind, and around the payload, using it as mobile environment cover. I have to play without my shield for a little while, but I shouldn't need it when the enemy DPS players are trying to dive my backline. I'm not being focused, so my shield is used for my supports to juggle and play off of, while I lock on to the biggest dive threat. In this clip, I look to jump around the corner and first use my shield to just juggle the tank. I then jump into the backline and set up another shield as soon as it gets off cooldown to try to block what I thought would have been an anti and sleep dart, but I just end up blocking the sleep dart before jumping away because I couldn't find an entry to get back to my team. Also, I didn't really have a very clear example of the whole putting the shield on the point for my team. My team didn't use this shield very well, but they made me solo push point, so I put my shield down on the point as it moves around this corner, and at least myself and the Moira were able to play around it for a while. If you play a lot of Winston, I know for a fact that you've jumped off the map before, overshooting a target or getting displaced midair by an enemy ability, causing you to be way off your mark. In this kind of scenario, you have the option to use your ult to reset your jump cooldown, make your correction, and carry on with 100% aggression, looking to turn your mistake into a power play. I know you've been booped by Lucio on that one map with the giant abyss in the middle, or gotten slapped by Briggs Slinky Mace or Pharah's Blast, and you thought it was the end, since you just landed from a jump, but you can counter those misplays and unfortunate positioning errors, and you might think that it isn't worth it, but Winston players ult when they're low HP to continue a fight. So even from full, why would you not ult to save you from a boot that takes you from 100 to 0? It's the same thing. Saving ultimate at the cost of your life might be worth on certain characters who have insane ult combos with certain compositions, but Winston's ult is not one of them. And the tank dying first is almost a guaranteed lost fight that you can avoid by paying that ult forward to your team. Also keep in mind that at the end of Winston's ultimate duration, your jump will reset again. So if you were to mess up while in ultimate form, as long as the duration ends once you just have jumped off the map, your cooldown will reset, allowing you to save yourself again. So we're back in the practice tool, and here's an example of jumping off the map, popping ultimate for reset, and then hopping right back on. Go and show it to you guys one more time. And then additionally to this, as you can see here, I'm about to show you how you can jump off the map. The duration's at 3, 2, 1. So you just jumped and then it resets when your ultimate duration is complete.
Yeah, wipe me down. Yeah, hey.
Shut up, Savage.
It's jigs on the beat and I'm rolling now. I ain't got no time, so I hit the town. Cartier shades on my lenses now. Feel like you cheated, he asking how. Run through the cheddar, my girl is a setter. My daddy, he caught me that Volkswagen Jetta, so I can go stack me some ends and live better